So good morning. I have so much to share with you today. Tomorrow in our community class, it's held at 11:30 on Saturdays. Normally, the proceeds of that class go to the Africa Yoga Project, and we just raise money for that. And as a studio, we've been very generous. But this particular Saturday, we're donating the proceeds to something different. It is a fundraiser for a program called A Week Away. This was begun by one of the participants in our last teacher training. So he graduated, This end of this summer, September, he graduated. He started last spring. And his name is Caleb Walker. And when Caleb came to us, he came as a 23-year-old who had been battling a brain tumor since he was 18. Caleb just had his 24th birthday on Monday. Caleb unfortunately passed away earlier this month. But some of the coolest stuff I'd love to tell you about Caleb is he came to me and said, I need to do your teacher training. I go to CHOP every day. I can't pay for your teacher training, but I know I need to be a part of it. And he, of course, was an amazing member of the group. And toward the end of our training, one of the things that we do is we set 10-year visions. And we were about to take on that task that day, and all of a sudden, as a teacher, I'm kind of freezing inside thinking, I'm going to ask this guy to set up a 10-year vision in a minute. And Caleb did it, while others in the group were struggling, and some did not complete writing a 10-year vision. Caleb did write a 10-year vision, and it was really quite inspiring. And as I was listening, his family held not really a funeral, but a big birthday party on Monday for him, and I was listening to everything people shared about him and watched what amazing family he had. I could see that his 10-year vision was going to happen. And part of his vision is this Camp A Week Away that he set up for families who are caregivers of somebody with a terminal disease to go away and have a week to feel normal. Somebody had done that for him and his family. So anyhow, he has a goal to reach $20,000 by December 20th. I actually think he has met this goal already. I think it was met on Monday. But we have already a single donor who has donated $2,500. All the proceeds from that class, whether you donate $5 or $2,500, are going to A Week Away. So I encourage you to practice tomorrow at 11:30. Let's get started. Child's pose. As you can imagine, Caleb had a really bright spirit, and he was like, he would go to chemo all weekend, and then he'd be at teacher training doing all the physical stuff. He never sat down, he never quit. And I think that what's so inspiring about him was his willingness to really choose to live when he had another option as well. And so I think it's an amazing thing as we're just right here in child's pose. Whatever challenges or great things are coming your way is to just choose to live and be a part of whatever it is that's meant for you today. So take a slow, steady, deep, rhythmic breath as your first step toward being here in this space, choosing to live. And then when you really get your breath all set up, it's steady, it's rhythmic, it's got an even strength throughout, then start to see about who you can be for the people in the room around you. So you take care of yourself, like you've put your own oxygen mask on. Your breath is flowing. Be now in listening to others and their breath and how it complements your breath. Sometimes one of the best things that we can do for other people is just to appreciate them. Appreciate what they have to offer you, and right now they're just offering you some strength and support through their breathing. With your next inhale, lift your body up into downward facing dog, and when you arrive, turn on your curiosity. Do that by bending one knee and straightening the other knee, or swaying your hips from side to side. Your curiosity is the passport to listening. So as your curiosity turns on, let your listening start to brighten up, and let your body just start to guide you through the practice today. The best teacher in the room for you is you. Anytime you recognize, I'm not here anymore, checked out, I'm not living anymore, then start with your breath. Start rededicating yourself to a steady breath. It doesn't have to have anything to do with the breath that went away. You start brand new in each and every moment. Then get purposeful about the foundation you're going to build this practice on. Set up your feet so that they're parallel to one another in hip-width distance. Your hands parallel to one another. Push the knuckle of your pointer finger down in the mat. Then soften your knees and drag your hips up and back as though you were aiming to sit on the wall behind you. In that effort, pull the weight out of your wrists. Now connect to breath. You to your breath to the person beside you's breath. Take on your practice with curiosity and listening. Do things in a new way. Soften your knees and rotate your pelvis. With your next breath, raise your right leg into the air behind you. Stretch it up and back like you're pulling yourself out of your hands. Then heel to your hip. Turn your hips open to the right side of the room, the early bird special side. Allow the whole right side of your body to open up. What I get newly curious about these days in this particular pose is pulling the pit of my belly into my body and up to my chin so that the swaying of my lower back is filled up with strength. You can put your right foot down and switch sides now. Left leg into the air. Bend your knee, heel to your hip, and turn your hips open to the 40 days side of the room. Pull your weight up and back out of your hands. If you need to soften your standing knee, just do that. Look toward your hands, step forward with your left foot, bring your right foot along. Line your feet up to be parallel to one another in hip-width distance. Take an inhale and lift up halfway, and in that lift, stretch yourself out of your hips. With your exhale, hang down toward the ground. Fold your arms, hold your opposite elbow, sway from side to side. As you sway, have an intention of letting go, getting longer, letting go of your shoulders, your neck. Keep your hips stacked on top of your heels. Many of you need to soften your knees to make that possible. Once you've done the swaying, you feel like you've started to do some letting go, then just hang there in the center of the pose, being silent and sharpening up, turning up your listening even higher. Anything you think you might be doing that you don't need to be doing, you can stop doing. You can stop squeezing your toes to the floor, for example. Take your listening even deeper by stop doing things. When you take your listening out of your toes squeezing, you have more listening for what's really happening. The backs of your thighs, your hamstrings, they're really happening right now. Move right into the matter at hand. We'll take about 5 more breaths here. Sometimes it's helpful to know what kind of space you're working inside of. And when you've completed the 5th breath, the last breath, if your hands are not on the ground already, put them there. Walk your feet together. Anchor your feet into the mat by pushing them down and make your legs really strong, fired up. Come rolling up to standing, one bone at a time. You'll need your knees to be soft. To unwind one bone at a time. Once you're standing tall, sweep your arms overhead, reach your heart up, your gaze and your fingertips look up. Even lift up a little bit higher. Go up and just back an extra inch. Then hands to prayer position and pause. So set your gaze on one point at the front of the room. Be in a position where you have a clear sense of being right here. And then set an intention for your practice. So I'll tell you a little about this intention I was thinking of for myself this morning. I have a really busy weekend with a lot of things that I consider to be very challenging. And I know the only way that I'll make it through successfully is if my listening is really wide opening. So my intention is deep listening. 3 times. Let's chant Om together, and that will send our intentions out. We'll manifest them. Take a deep breath in. Inhale and reach up to the ceiling. Stretch up out of your feet. As you exhale, fold down to the floor. Long, flat back and soft knees. Halfway lift with your next breath in. Then step back, high plank to low plank, and breathe out. You can go all the way to your belly if you need. Upward facing dog or just a cobra pose. Then move back into downward facing dog. In the downward dog, let's work with 3 breaths together. So take a deep breath in, and then a long, slow, steady exhale. Deep breath in, and just deepen your armpits. Lift your armpits a little closer to the ceiling. Exhale. Last breath here, inhale. Long, slow, steady exhale. Press your thigh bones back, look to your hands, step or jump up to your hands. Once you arrive, halfway lift with a flat back and soft knees. Now fold down to the floor. Stand up, reach for the ceiling, and then reach up into the wall behind you. Now fold to the floor. Halfway lift, high plank to low plank. Upward facing dog, broaden your collarbones, make it be like a sun rising, then downward facing dog. Work together, inhale. Slowly, steadily exhale. Deep breath in. And exhale. Last time here, inhale. Exhale, empty, press your hips back, look to your hands, step or jump forward. Halfway lift and fold. Stand up, reach up, bend back, fold to the floor. Halfway lift. High plank to low plank. You can step back, you can jump back. Upward facing dog. Lift the pit of your belly, then downward facing dog. As you're breathing here, put the toes of your right foot around the heel of your left foot and drag your left heel deep down into the ground. So I just hook my big toe and the next toe around my heel and pull my heel down. So press your heel down to the ground behind you. And switch sides. Right foot on the heel of your left side. Drag your left heel deeper toward the floor. You're just stretching the back of your heel and the back of your calf muscle. 2 feet on the floor. Take one more deep breath in. As you exhale, empty your breath. Look to your hands. Step or jump up to your hands. When you arrive, halfway lift. And fold down. Now really bring your breath. Sit back into chair pose. Reach your arms to the upper front corner of the room. Inhale. And exhale, fold down to the floor. Halfway lift, breathe in. High plank to low plank as you breathe out. Upward facing dog, inhale. Downward facing dog, exhale. Step your right foot forward, back foot flat. Warrior 1, reach your arms up to the ceiling and behind you. Hands to the floor, low plank. Upward facing dog, breathe in, strong legs. Downward facing dog, breathe out. Now your left side, step forward. Anchor your back leg deep into the ground as you reach up and go back. Hands down, low plank. Upward facing dog, inhale. Downward facing dog, exhale. Fill the room with breath. Allow your breathing to be a calming, wiping slate clean experience. Last breath. Empty it all out. Look to your hands. Move up to your hands. Halfway lift and fold. Chair pose. Sit. Reach your arms. Pull the pit of your belly into your body. Fold to the floor. Halfway lift. High plank. Low plank. Upward facing dog. Downward facing dog. Right foot. Step forward. Lunge, reach your arms up and go back. Hands down, low plank. Upward facing dog. Downward facing dog. Now your left side, step forward. Back leg strong, reach up and go back. Bring your hands down, low plank. Upward facing dog. Downward facing dog. Fill the room with the rhythm of your breathing. Can you make a connection to somebody else through your breath? Last breath here. Exhale and empty it, then look to your hands, jump up to your hands. Let's take one more sun salute B. Halfway lift, fold down. Chair pose, sit back, pull the pit of your belly in and reach. Now fold to the floor. Halfway lift. High plank to low plank. Upward facing dog. Downward facing dog. Step your right foot forward. Anchor your back foot strongly to your mat so that you can reach up and go back. Hands down, chaturanga. Upward facing dog, broad across your collarbones, downward facing dog. Left side step, big, bold legs, reach up out of your legs. Hands down, chaturanga. Upward facing dog, downward facing dog, and you rest here. Consider yourself for the first time this morning. Listen deeply into your feet, and can you place them parallel to one another? Would you like more freedom in your pose? Open up the length of space between your hands and feet, if so. Raise your right leg into the air behind you. Bend your knee, bring your heel to your hip. Open your hips to the right side of the room. Now hug your left shoulder deep into your back and flip over. 2 feet on the floor. A flip dog pose. Bend both knees and press 2 feet strongly into the ground. Reach up and overhead. Strong legs so that the whole side of your body can open. If you want to, you can reach all the way to the ground for wheel pose. It will require a funny little spinning of the hand that was already on the floor. Pick that other one up and turn it. And then your hand that was on the floor, your left hand, should turn and face your right hand. And then flip back over, side plank. Put your right hand on the ground, face the 40 days side of the room. Left arm in the air. Anchor your feet one on top of the other for side plank. Push down into the ground with your right hand so that opposite, your right armpit lifts and gets deeper. Lift up to your left fingertips. Shoulders down your back. Think about the pit of your belly coming up to your chin and your tail down to your heels. Take another breath here. Hands to the floor, low plank. Upward facing dog, downward facing dog. Raise your right leg into the air behind you. Stretch it up and back with square hips. So if you peek behind you, you see your right toes pointing straight down to the ground. Stretch your right foot back, and then as you exhale, bring your knee in and touch it to your nose. Get round like a Halloween cat. Armpits over your wrists, be light. Stretch your right leg up and back. Bring your knee to your nose and hover there. Stay. Pull your ribs up into your body and get round. One more time, leg up and back. Square hips, knee to your nose. Step your foot forward for crescent lunge. Start with your hands on your hips. Both legs straight as you come up. So at first, be on the ball of your back foot, both legs straight, and really square your hips to the front of the room. Even think about making your pelvis neutral by pulling the pit of your belly up to your chin. That means you'll open up the space of the crease of your front hip and then bend your front knee down. Press your back heel back with square hips. For some of you, it's best to think about putting weight in the baby toe side of your back foot. Deep lunges now, soft back knees or straight back knees, but a neutral pelvis for everyone. Then reach your fingertips up to the ceiling. Make your legs strong. Once your legs are strong, you can reach up and then reach back. Deep, strong legs give you access to a back bend that's healthy for your back. So have a sense of freedom in your low back that you're pulling up out of your pelvis. Look for the wall behind. See if it's possible to actually touch the wall, even if it's just with your intention. Then hands to prayer. Look forward and pause. Collect yourself. Twist over to the right side of the room. Left elbow anchored outside of your right knee. Once it's anchored, you can start to turn your chest toward the side wall. Keep your eyes to the front corner of the room instead of the back corner. It'll keep your body longer. Open your arms. Bottom arm down, top arm up. Strong in your legs, so strong. Such a sense of being squeezed in on the side of your hips that you can keep your belly lifted off of your thigh. Wrap your top arm around behind you. You can wrap your bottom arm underneath of your front leg and hold hands behind your left hip, fully binding the pose. Yeah, your front arm stays outside of your knee. This is a tricky bind. Oh, that's it. You've got it there. Take another breath in. When you exhale, empty your breath, turn your chest to the ceiling, then inhale, lift your body up and around to warrior two. Face the left side of the room. Back edge of your back foot, parallel to the back edge of your mat, and your front knee. Point it as far to the front as it will go. It's probably at an angle, and point your toes at that same angle. Take a big, long, bold stance. Lauren, come back here with your foot. Bring that guy back here. There. Oh, and keep the front one up there. Yeah, now bend your front knee a lot. Keep your hips, your ribs, and your shoulders facing the side of the room. Longer your legs, the longer the stance. Extended side angle. Put your right fingertips on the block at the arch of your front foot, left arm in the air, and bring your concentration into pulling your arms in two different directions. Deepen your front legs lunge. Here's this if you want it. Lunge down, Natasha. Nice, David. Keep turning your hips to the side of the room. Nice, Michelle. Tailbone down to your back heel, belly up to your chin. Take another breath in. Stay for the whole exhale. Then put your hands on the ground. High plank to low plank. Upward facing dog. Stretch up. Lift the pit of your belly to your chin. Downward facing dog. Maybe take a full breath in and let a sigh come out. Raise your left leg into the air. Bend your knee, bring your heel to your hip, and turn your hips open to the left side of the room. Now open up your toes on your lifted foot. Wiggle your ankle around. Really wake your foot up. Flip over, land softly like an elevator lowering. 2 feet on the ground. Then with your arm, reach up and then overhead. Relax your shoulders. Make your feet do the work. Legs are the strength in a back bend. Where could you have just a little more ease? Then float gracefully. Flip over to side plank. Put your left hand down, face the early bird side of the room. Right arm up in the air. Wake up your feet. Pull your baby toes back to your face. For most of you, your top hip, bring it closer to the early bird wall. Then you're left to breathe. Pit of your belly up to your chin, tail down to your heels. That's it, Taylor. Even a little bit for your mom. There you go. Last breath, get really light, look up, then bring your hands to the floor, high plank to low. Upward facing dog, downward facing dog, raise your left leg into the air. Square hips. Really square your hips out. You're training your body for the airplane pose that'll come later in class right now. Raise your leg up and back. As you exhale, knee to your nose, pull your belly button to your spine and get round. Then left leg up and back, knee to your nose, hover your armpits over your wrists and be light. Left leg up and back, knee to your nose, hover and sit your foot on the floor between your hands. Then hands to your hips, come up to 2 straight legs, get ready to prepare for crescent lunge. 2 straight legs at first gives you the opportunity to square your hips to the front of the room. Right hip forward, left hip back, like your legs were a pair of scissors moving toward closing. Pull the pit of your belly into your body and up to your chin so that your pelvis sits at neutral. Then you can start to bend your front knee and press your back heel back. Work with your back heel moving over to the early bird side of the room on the right. Arms up in the air. A little bit more practice, a little more intermediate. What's happening with your front leg? Are you pushing it out of your body? Hug it back into your body. 3 breaths now to lift yourself up out of your legs. Your legs stay deep. To look up to the ceiling. And then to reach up and back as though you could touch the wall behind you. Come up out of the pose, bring your hands to prayer position. Twist to the left, over to the 40 days wall. Put your right elbow on your left knee. Now it's like you're taking a string and pulling it strong and tight. Heel back, crown of your head forward. One arm down, one arm up. 2 different directions of tight string. Keep your breath flowing. Actioning your back leg activated. You can wrap your top arm around and bind. You might bind your bottom arm. Squeeze right here, a little higher. Then stretch your heel back and your chest forward. There you go. Stay for one more breath. The whole exhale. Use the inhale to lift up and around to warrior two. Face the right. Back edge of your back foot parallel to the back edge of your mat. Be in consideration of your back thigh bone. A lot of times in a warrior two, it's really easy for this back thigh bone to just press forward. Hug it back into your body. Keep your pelvis square to the side of the room in neutral. Extended side angle. Jamie, take a longer stance, like 3 more inches. Keep the back one back there. Back one's not allowed to go with the front one. Put your left fingertips down. David, you're the one. Pull this back into your body. Yeah. You got it. Deep legs, deep lunge. Belly up to your chin. Tail down to your heels. Another breath. Make your body light. Then unwind, put your hands on the floor. High plank to low plank. Upward facing dog, downward facing dog, and exhale. Use whatever tool you need right now to allow your body to settle into the level of energy that you're building. This is a vitality section of the practice. We're building energy, consciously calling it forward. Take a deep breath in. Exhale and empty your breath. Then look to your hands, jump up to your hands. Halfway lift once you've landed, and fold down. Chair pose with your feet together, squat back, reach your arms up, then bring your hands into prayer position. Twist toward the right by anchoring your left elbow outside of your right knee. Hands in prayer position. Both sides of your waist, as long as they can be, you probably need to consider pulling your left hip back to the back of the room just another inch. You can open your arms, bottom arm down and top arm up, and then you're listening dialed up the whole way as you breathe and twist. Listen for where your body could use a little bit more space, a little less effort. Get long across the left side of your body. Take another breath, and then unwind. Hang down. Open your feet hip-width distance. Hook your big toes with your middle and index fingers. Inhale, lift up halfway. Get as long in your side waist as you can. And then exhale, drag your chin down towards your toes. Push your heels down, keep your knees soft, and try to roll your pelvis forward, your sitting bones up to the ceiling. Concentrate the stretching in the back of your thighs. Then release your toes, toe heel your feet open wide, squat your hips down toward your heels, your toes can point out. And once you get down that low, bring your hands into prayer position, and wiggle down deep until you feel like your knees are on the outsides of your armpits. So get way down here. It doesn't even matter if you're on your flat foot. Way down here, knees way on the outsides of your armpits. You'll really have to snuggle deep down into your legs. Once you really have your knees on the outside of your armpits, put your hands on the mat wide. So maybe even your baby fingers tilting off of the mat. Squeeze in with your knees. Really squeeze in, and you'll even feel your shoulders round a little bit and your core, your diaphragm pull up. Then keep squeezing and tilt forward into crow pose where you're squeezing and your knees are on the outside of your armpits, not sitting on the backs of your arms. Knees on the outside of your armpits. Now, here's what we're gonna do. Go into the crow pose. Every time we exhale, push your hands down and lift your ribs up. Lighten the load of your knees on your arms. Are you ready for 3 of those? Take a deep breath in. Exhale, press down, lift your ribs up. One more time, press down, lift your ribs up. Here's the last one. Feet back, chaturanga. Upward facing dog. Downward facing dog. Take one deep breath in and let a sigh come out. It's good to surprise yourself sometimes. Do things in a way you never have done them before. Last breath here. Empty your breath, and then jump up to your hands. Halfway lift, fold down. Chair pose, sit back and reach your arms up. Way back into your heels, pull your lowest abdominal muscles up into your body, fill up the swaying in your lower back by pulling your belly in. Hands to prayer position, twist now to the left, right elbow, left knee. Anchor, pull your right hip to the back of the room as a stabilizing force in this movement. You can open your arms, bottom arm down, top arm up. You can keep your chin near one shoulder or the other. Now bring a pulsing and a rhythm into the movement of your body that matches the movement of your breath. When you inhale, get longer. When you exhale, turn a little more. Inhale, get stronger. Exhale, soften. One more time. Full expression. Then unfold and hang. Open your feet hip width distance. Tuck your palms under the soles of your feet so you're standing on your hands. Wiggle your toes. Massage your wrists. Push down with the balls of your feet and come with your upper body toward a halfway lift. Stretch out your wrist. Keep your hand captured under your foot and just move toward the halfway lift to stretch your wrist. Second time crow pose. So we're setting it up from the goddess squat. Open your feet wide and squat down. Nestle your arms way down low. Your knees on the outside of your armpits. So if your knees are on the outside of your elbows, go higher. Get a little crowded and uncomfortable. Then put your hands on the mat. Tilt forward with your knees squeezing in. That's how they'll stay there and how they'll not slide away. Squeeze them in like they're tweezers. And every time you exhale, push with your hands. Lift with your ribs. So it's like your knees are going to lift up and float off of your arms. Stay here for 5 more breaths. Every time you exhale, push down, squeeze your knees in and lift higher. When you complete the 5th breath, you're welcome to step back to downward dog. You know, the thing about a yoga practice, and I've watched this happen so many times, it can stay exactly the same pose for pose, day after day, for hundreds of years, but definitely 10. I've definitely watched that happen in bodies for 10 years. Nothing ever changes. You just come in, you mark time, it's like cleaning the kitchen floor. Check, it's done. Or you really open up your curiosity, tune up your listening, listen for where your body requires more space, where it's willing to bring in more effort, where it needs to be strong through ease, and your practice will stay interesting. It will change day after day, and it will be this foundation that guides the change in your life. Take a deep breath in. Exhale and empty your breath. Look to your hands, jump up to your hands. When you arrive, halfway lift, fold down. Come all the way up to standing. Sweep your arms overhead, stretch up. Right side, eagle pose. Wrap your right arm under, squat down, and wrap your right leg over. All the way around, tuck your toes if you can behind your calf muscle. While we move through each of these balancing poses, just fix your gaze on one point. That's part of what we would call in yoga your drishti. So yeah, it can have something to do with your eyes, and in this pose it can, so fix where your eyes are. But more than where your eyes are, it has to do with your concentration. Listening to your breath is a really easy way to focus your concentration. Keep your arms bound, unbind your right leg, reach it back to an airplane leg. Warrior 3 in your legs. Right leg, reach it to the wall behind you, toes pointing straight down to the ground, hips square. Make your back leg powerful. With your standing foot, push down in the ground and lift up with your standing hips so you're light in your standing hip. Unwind your arms, reach them back into airplane arms, chest up like upward dog. 3 breaths here, just 3. Lift your back leg high. Stretch out the back of your lifted knee. Now hands to prayer position, pause. Half moon facing the early bird, left fingertips down, right arm up. Keep your right leg high in the air and your focus steady. Even though you've now had to switch where your eyes are, switch them purposefully. Keep your focus inside on your breath. Back leg high, lift it high. Reach up so much with your right fingertips, your bottom fingertips start to leave the ground or lighten the load. Okay, 2 feet down and hang. Sway from side to side. Let your body get longer. Come all the way up to standing. Sweep your arms overhead, a fresh pose. Left side eagle pose. Left arm under, left leg over. Gaze steady. Your attention steady. Fixed in one place where you chose to put it. On your breath, you can create an intention right here and fix your listening on your intention. Keep your arms bound, unwrap your top leg, reach it back. Airplane legs, square hips, nice setup. Just keep your hips square. Active feet, both of your feet alive, active, working in the pose. You can unwind your arms, reach them back like upward facing dog in your chest, airplane in your arms. Breathe right here. Is there somewhere that you can stop working so hard? Is there somewhere you could have more expression? Hands to prayer position. Half moon, right hand down, left arm up, face the left side of the room. Life-changing results. It's what we're looking for. Life-changing results, and they only happen by tuning up your listening, getting present to what's real. Push down on your standing foot and lift in your standing hip. Make the pose light. It's possible when your listening is focused. Back leg high. Reach up to the ceiling. It's the full expression at the end of the pose. Then gracefully put your 2 feet down and hang. Sway from side to side. Come all the way up to standing. Sweep your arms overhead. Reach up. We'll take standing bow pose. Drop your right arm back with your palm facing the chalkboard at the right. Bend your right knee, hold your shin, flex your foot so you can imagine your foot pressing into the ceiling and just stop right there. One arm up, 2 knees together. Let the front of your right thigh stretch. Now take your next 3 breaths to reach into the pose. Imagine one foot pressing down, the other foot pressing up, and the tension of that opposition is what you hang off of. It's the strength of this back bend. Powerful legs, hips that are working toward being square, you hang. Pull the pit of your belly into your body and up. Yeah, just subtly. Yes, that's it. Kick your foot a little higher to take up the slack when you fortify your middle more. Let's take 3 more breaths here. Your shoulders relax. No work in your shoulders. Last breath, full expression. Gracefully come out, windmill your arms around, and switch sides. Left hand, left shin. Let your left shoulder roll back. Let me spin this around for you. Keep spinning right there. Right arm in the air. Steady, 2 knees together. Right away, your knees together. Drop your left knee in beside your right knee. For a lot of you, it's geared up to go out to the side already. Together. And then drive it straight back when you kick into the pose. Go. Keep it behind you, Natasha. I know it's tricky. It's like not your go-to. Just work it in a new way. Yeah, you're getting it. Yes! Do you feel how much length you just got? You might not be as deep as you otherwise would have been, but that's okay. It's a new place for you. Unlock your standing knees. Push down on the ball of your big toe. Drive your kicking foot up to the ceiling. Steady with your breathing. Steady. You can do this. Steady breath. You have everything you need right now to be powerful in this pose. 3 more breaths. Fullest expression for you today. Open up. And then feet together, arms down, stand still. Eyes fixed. Arms down, just be still. Allow your body to take in the miracles that you're calling forward. Open your feet hip-width distance. Take a mini chair pose, like just squat a tiny bit. A little mini chair pose. And then with your legs, make a number 4. Put your right ankle on your left thigh. Keep your standing foot pointing forward, right ankle on your left thigh. And then maybe you'll need your block tall in front of you. Fold down and put your hands on the floor or the block. You'll feel the stretching in your right hip, I would suspect. Just be sure your foot doesn't get away from you. Your right foot, keep it on your thigh. And if you're feeling pretty flexible, you could put it all the way up into the crease of your hip in half lotus. Breathe here and take all of your concentration into your right hip. And as you breathe, soften. Bring ease, allow ease to be what takes over the pose. Let space come into your right hip. If you need to hold on to your foot so it doesn't slide away, that's completely fine. That's it. Your breath is definitely what will carry you through. Your breath is the anchor to what's real. Your body is the anchor. Gently come up out of the pose. Purposefully lower your foot. Mini chair pose. Squat down just a little bit. Feet lined up, facing forward. Put your left ankle on your right thigh as high up toward the crease of your hip as you think is good for your body. Keep your knees soft, your standing knee, so your foot doesn't slide away. And then start to fold down. This is one of my favorite movements. So good for your lower back, your left hip. A lot of times what is going on in our lower backs is just crowding, asking too much effort from that part of your body. Can you invite ease? You can get to the point in your yoga practice where you've brought forward a lot of effort and you've really tried hard, and then progress only comes from learning the flip side of that coin, softness and ease. That's where you become really powerful. Keep bringing the breath, your breath flowing in and out, connected with other people in the room. Okay, come up gently, release your foot, move to the front of your mat, your hips should be feeling good. Chair pose, squat down, reach your arms up. Put your hands on your belly once you get into your chair pose, so squat way back so you see your knees come back away from your big toes. Pull the pit of your belly in and fill up the swaying of your lower back. Let your ribs come in so your back body opens and gets big. Breathe right here now, 5 breaths together, take your arms in the air. Belly still in, hips still reaching back. 2 more breaths, sit deep. Last one, reach up, fold to the floor. Halfway lift, high plank to low plank. You can step back, you can jump back, upward facing dog. Downward facing dog. From downward dog, step your right foot forward, lunge, warrior 1. Reach up, turn left to warrior 2. Stretch your body long, let your arms get really heavy in your armpits. Flip your front palm up, reverse the warrior. Stretch up and back, then straighten your front leg so it's a reverse triangle. Whole right side of your body, let it get really long. When it's long, keep it long, move forward into triangle pose. I have this friend who comes to yoga sometimes, and he's an Olympian, like he's been into Olympics. So he's like fit, right? And you know what he says about this yoga class? He's like, I think I'm gonna die holding my arms up in that warrior 2. And all these girls are all around me holding their arms like it's no big deal, and mine are shaking. I thought you'd feel good about your warrior 2 arms for hearing that. Drop your top arm around behind your back, halfway bind it. Let your top shoulder be melted behind you. Can you imagine that? What does that mean to let your top shoulder be melted behind you? Find a force in the room other than in your body to make it so that your arm bone moves back. Let gravity move it back. You have about 2 more breaths. What could you let go of in the last 2 breaths to let your chest open a little bit more to the ceiling, a little bit more access to freedom? You have so much possibility all of a sudden to just be soft. Yeah. Okay, unwind. Put your hands on the floor. Chaturanga. Upward facing dog, inhale. Downward facing dog, exhale. Left side, step forward. Warrior 1. Reach up. Turn to warrior 2. Face the right side of the room. Lunge way down. Flip your left palm up. Reverse the warrior. And you'll want to keep your right side body long. Your hips, your ribs, your shoulders, let them face the side of the room. Really stretch long. Then straighten your front leg. Reach up out of your toes and back. Triangle pose. Put your left fingertips on the block. Even here with your arm bones, let them move down deep into your armpits. Can you do that? Like they're up at the top of your armpits. Let them move to the bottom of your armpits, the part that gets close to your hips. That's it, David. Wrap your top arm around behind your back. Allow the whole of the right side of your chest to move open. Your fingertips can go on the block or floor behind your front ankle. You can even move your hand that's on the floor back 4 more inches so that you have more space to open up. You can drop your head back, look to the person behind you, add the last bit of opening that's available to you. Take 1 more breath in here. Stay for the exhale. Then unwind, bring your hands to the floor, chaturanga. Upward facing dog, downward facing dog. Take a deep breath in and let a sigh come out. Deep breath in. Exhale. Last breath here. After you exhale, come to a high plank position, lower all the way down to your belly on the mat. Keep your, you can point your toes behind you today. Keep the back of your pelvis broad though, so no squeezy butt cheeks. Your legs, press them flat down into the mat. Arms back wide like airplane wings. Take a deep breath in. And when you exhale, lift your head, your shoulders, and your arms. You keep reaching your tailbone back to your heels. Your thigh bones, keep them wrapping into your front midline so you feel your quad muscles pushing down into the floor. Now take your listening into your abdominal muscles. Are they pushing down into the ground? If they are, can you pull them up into your body? A tiny movement that you'll feel and I'll barely see. Unsqueeze your cheeks, Philomena. Keep wrapping your thigh bones in, broaden the back of your pelvis. And relax back down. Bend your knees, reach back, hold your ankles from the outside so your palms face in. You can flex your feet. So it's like your feet are standing on the ceiling. You'll use the 4 corners of your feet to tell you where your body is in space. Okay, now here you go. Knees, only hip width, up. Press your feet up. Your arms don't even have to do anything. They're just hanging. Let them hang. Your abdominal muscles, pull them in, pull them in, pull them in. 5 breaths. A balance between effort and ease. 2 more breaths. Knees close, don't let them go wide. After the last breath, gently come part way down. Just pull a little bit more with your left foot on your left hand till you roll to your side facing the 40 days side of the room. Don't worry, we're going to do both sides. If you picked a different side, don't worry about it. That'll be fine. Oh, David, top leg stronger. Pull with that leg. Over you go. You might be there for the rest of the day. Should feel really good on your shoulders. Oh, Patty, you're getting stuck on a block. There it is. Need help, Ann? Which one do you want to pull? This one? There you go. You got it. Let your shoulders melt. That's it, Carrie. The top one will work. Whoa. You've got it. Grab your pants if you can. There you go. Let your shoulders melt now. Yes. Okay, back to your belly, other side. If you feel like a bug that got stuck upside down, I'll come around and help you. There you go. Keep your legs really active. Tempting to let your top leg go to sleep on your bottom leg. Now you know how bugs feel. There you go. Everybody's got it, good. Sometimes this just feels so good to the fronts of your shoulders. Come back to the center. You can release your feet. Put your hands on the floor under your elbows, upward facing dog. Go only so high as you feel good in your lower back. When your lower back feels crowded, too high. Pull the pit of your belly into your body and up to your chin. Can you create this back bend from strong legs and with a lower back that feels free? No compression, no clenching, no pinching sensation. Last breath here. Open up your chest, look up to the ceiling, then downward facing dog. Stretch your hips up and back. Kneel down. We'll take half camel pose. So on your two knees, step your right foot forward. I like to keep my back toes turned under. Then your left hand on your heel. If you need a little bit more reach, put your hand on a tall block beside your calf. Feeling pretty flexible, you can reach to the inside of the crease of your knee. So position your hand wherever you want it, then square your hips to the front of the room. And that'll mean pulling your right thigh bone back. Once you get in that position, just skim your right hand by your face and reach to the back of the room. Keep pulling your right thigh bone in, not turning it over to David. Yeah, there. There you go. And then bring your left side body forward and up, forward and up, forward and up. Your limit, the limit in this pose is when you touch the floor with your right fingertips. Not happening today? It's hard to laugh into a back bend. Chest up, come out of the pose, hands to the floor, downward facing dog. Sometimes yoga is funny. Downward facing dog. Other side now. Other side, kneel down. Left foot, step it forward for half camel. Now, I first learned this pose when I was practicing yoga a lot with a lot of master teachers. Okay, go ahead and go for it. And when we were first being described to do this, I was like, I'm not doing half camel. That's for new people or old people or not people who do yoga all the time. I was being kind of a snob about it, and then I did the pose, really did it, and I realized, oh my gosh, there's so much to learning your body in this pose. Get your hips really square as best you can. And then keep pulling yourself up out of your legs and your hips. David, you need a block. Left hip back, right hip forward, right ribs forward. There's a lot of allowing in this pose. It's so close, but yet so far. Breathe. Let the pose grow with each breath. How do you get out? Lift your chest up to the ceiling. Then hands to the floor, downward facing dog stretch. Walk your knees out, back and forth. Other fun things coming up, so you could practice twice tomorrow. We also have a holiday party, so a 6 to 8 p.m. yoga practice. That sounds long, but know that you always do the hard part of the practice every time you come to class. You just miss the easy part. So you'll get both parts tomorrow. And then afterwards, we just have a holiday potluck. So if you want to come, even at the last minute, just come. If you know in advance you're coming, just sign on the whiteboard in the lobby. Okay, come on through, lie down on your back. Bend your knees, feet on the floor, ready for bridge pose. You can bring people who have never done yoga and they're just coming to have fun. The practice is from 6 to 8 and then the party is afterwards. Up you go into bridge pose. It's really just a time for yogis to get to hang out together, so sometimes we see each other in class. Maybe you've gotten to know each other's names, but you really don't ever get to chat. This will be our chance. So come on up into bridge. Once you arrive in bridge, choose to stay here or go to wheel. If you're going to wheel, set yourself up, fingertips to the ceiling, and then flex your wrists. Put your hands on the floor under your shoulders. Set your hands wide but deep, like deep in towards your shoulders. Then take a deep breath in, and when you exhale, straighten your arms. Hands on the floor, so fold, and then let me show you something. Fold and tuck them, try it from here. It'll feel weird at first. Let your shoulders just come down your back. There. And go, press. There you go. Push down on the knuckle of your big toes. Let your hips soften just a little bit. Okay, you can come back down, just don't hug your knees into your chest. You could go side to side with your knees. Take a deep breath in and exhale. That's our getting acquainted version of the pose, the first one where you're just checking it out. Now, you are going to do this. You're going to take 3 more of these back bends, bridge or wheel, each one held for 10 breaths at your own pace. In between each of the 10 breath holding of the pose, you'll have 1 breath to come down and rest. So on your mark, get set, go. On up you go. Then you've got 10 breaths. This can be hard or this can be easy. What Barron says when people arrive to their first week of level 1 training, where it's 8 hours of yoga a day and all the rest of the hours are lecture type of learning, he says if this isn't your passion, this is going to be a really long week. So get really interested in your own body, your own experience, and then later how you affect the other people in the room. Come down, it's 1 breath, and back up. Maybe you just need to look side to side and say, come on, you got this. Maybe you need to hear somebody say that to you. Maybe you need to hear the room say to you, it's okay to take bridge today if your back's not feeling very good. Maybe it's okay to hear the room say to you, get up in that wheel pose, it's exactly what your back needs. Either way, it's 30 breaths. You can even be bold and daring and take 32 breaths in 1 long hold. If your wrists hurt, get into your feet more. You could use blocks under your feet, blocks under your hands. Thighs wrap in and down a little bit in the crease of your hips. Yep. When you finish the 30th breath, remember, these are long, slow, steady breaths, like the kind you took in child's pose. Not the kind you hear like on the maternity ward. This is not Lama's class. Once you're on your back, soles of your feet together and knees open, Supta Baddha Konasana will be the last pose of this series. This is the igniting series, a series where you let it all go and you're bold. It's like a rocket ship shooting into the stratosphere. You're very powerful. And then you let it all settle down. Soles of your feet together, knees open. Just be still at first and be in deep listening. What's really going on in your body? Sometimes what you'll discover when you just listen is your body saying to you, no, I'm really okay. That was fine for me. It may speak to you and say, you're being such a jerk. I keep telling you to stand in your feet, but you stand in your wrists. Come on now. Your body could be saying a whole lot of different things. Once you've completed all of your breaths, come to Supta Baddha Konasana. Relax, listen to your body and what it wanted to share with you. Then you're ready for the next step. Hug your knees into your chest. Knees into your chest. Rock head to tail, long on your mat, all the way up, head to tail 3 times, no feet touching the floor, all the way up into Navasana boat pose. Boat pose. At first, maybe your shins parallel to the floor. Activate your feet so that they look like they're standing on the brick wall at the front of the room. With your fingertips, you can wrap your thigh bones into your front midline, and then press your heels to the front corner of the room. Lift your chest up. How light can you make yourself for 5 breaths? Breathe for 1. Shoulders down. 2. Make your waist long. 3. Anything for 2 more breaths. And then hug your knees into your chest. Rock 3 times. After the 3rd time, boat pose. Come on up. Bent legs at first. Set the body up. Set your pose up. Straight legs if that's where you are today. Then open your arms wide like you're hugging a tree and suck your guts up under your ribs like a jellyfish lifting up into your rib cage. Be light. Chest up. Hug your knees and rock 3 times. On the last one, you're going to hook your big toes with your middle and index fingers and then straighten your legs. Flexibility may say that they don't totally straighten, and you can have your feet open wide, feeling pretty flexible, feet together. Pull your toes back. Now lift your chest up. Shoulders down your back. None of you need your shoulders. If your shoulders are up high, it's like you've brought too much luggage on a trip and now you have to carry it. Let them go down and relax. Chest up. Last thing, once you lift your chest, you can just drop your head back. 3 breaths here. This is a tricky one. Chest up, shoulders back. Okay, hug your knees, rock 3 times. 3 times. After the last one, you can stay on your back and go to plow pose or shoulder, it's not quite coming out. Plow is feet over your head, or Viparita Krani, which is flat on your back, legs straight up in the air. Just couldn't get all of that to come out. Plow pose is a pose where you're looking to create it that your spine is tall, your hips are high in the air. Might take a little bit of rocking side to side to really tuck your shoulder blades deep under your back. You know, one of the most common things yogis do to their bodies, which is a negative, is flattening out your cervical spine. And this is one of the poses that does that. Could you take a few of your exhales and dedicate them? Dedicate them to softening in your neck and letting the curve of your cervical spine be there, be graceful, curve up into your neck rather than flatten out on the floor. A shoulder stand, not a neck stand. If you're going to shoulder stand, go ahead and take your legs up in the air. Whichever pose you've selected, plow pose, shoulder stand, Viparita Karani, the waterfall, 10 breaths now. 10 breaths in stillness. Caleb's dad is a minister, preacher, I don't know what you call them, at one of those gigantic churches in Lancaster County. And I understand his family is coming to do what he always loved doing, come to do yoga this weekend. They've never done yoga before. It should be a lot of fun. One of the things that I found really moving at his birthday party the other day is at the end, his family stood up and they were sharing some things about Caleb. He had 3 brothers, and his oldest brother, Caleb was number 3 out of the 4, and his oldest brother and his father talked a bit about Caleb, but they quoted his journal, and it was his teacher training journal that they were quoting from, talking about his declarations, his intentions, his 10-year plan. I thought it was pretty cool to hear. I don't know that they knew it was his teacher training journal, but I thought it was really cool to hear that last piece of his work was so meaningful to them. There's nobody breathing in the room. Okay, if you're in the shoulder stand, you can go ahead and come down if you've done your 10 breaths. For the rest of you, come rolling out of plow pose, come out of Viparita Karani, back flat on the floor, put your feet flat on the floor, knees in the air like you do for bridge. Step your right foot off of your mat. Drop your right knee down and into your center line. Right foot off of your mat. This is a tricky one. Knee down and in, so it's an inward rotation of your right thigh bone. 90-degree angle of your knee and your ankle. You shouldn't have any sensation in your right knee as you create this pose. There you go. If you do, you can always raise your hand when we're in hip opening poses. If you don't feel it or you feel uncomfortable in your knee, just raise your hand and we'll adjust. Deepen the pose by adding your left foot to your right thigh and dropping your left knee to the left. Now, yes, your right hip is going to come up off of the ground. Your work is to keep the pit of your belly pulling up to your chin so that your tailbone keeps reaching to the brick wall. Sustain that and breathe. You're welcome. You can switch sides. Allow gravity to help you create the pose. If you ever feel stuck in this, raise your hand. You can add your second leg to deepen it. Okay, you can come out of that pose and hug your knees into your chest. 2 knees into your chest. You can drop your knees to one side and look to the opposite side. Switch sides. Some of what we'll do in the 40 days program that starts in January is the work that Caleb had done on the vision writing. We'll interweave that with the 40 days program. So ours starts January 8th. It's on Thursday nights for 1 hour. If you've never done 40 days before, we meet on a Thursday night 6 times. And in between those 6 times, we do different stuff. And it accumulates as we go. Amount of time practicing, meditation. There's a dietary component. At the meetings is where we tie it all together. We've been doing this program for a lot of years now, and we've got some people who have done it every single year. And then if you've never done it, this should be your year. because it's such an amazing program about getting really powerful in your life, choosing your experience. People have amazing shifts, whether it's a lot of weight loss. For some people, believe it or not, it's weight gain. That's what they need. Job changes, relationship changes. And then all the subtle little things that happen to people too, like being a little more calm in your life, a little more able to speak up for yourself. The program gets really full, so if you want to join it, ask me about it afterwards. Okay, Savasana. There's a cold stone at the top of your mat near your head. You are welcome to place it on your forehead. I like to put it on my neck, at the little hollow of my neck, on your chest, anywhere that it feels good to you or not. Then set up Shavasana. Open your legs to a really comfortable width and let your toes drop out. Set it up so that your lower back feels really supported. I need to tuck my cheeks down toward my heels. Then you can open your arms wide so that your palms face up to the ceiling. Listen to your body and find from your body if this is the right pose or if you need to do a little more adjusting. You'll know exactly what you need, so trust what you hear, trust your own instinct. And then take a deep breath in and exhale through your mouth and let the weight of your whole body sink into and be supported by the floor. This is a pose that's all ease. The effort comes from sources of energy outside of your own body. Let gravity do the work now. It's the pose where we focus in the most, like the drishti is the most developed. For that to happen, then there's no effort. The rigor of the pose is stillness. If your listening was like a volume knob on a speaker, turn it all the way up to 10. Deep, deep listening. And this might help your listening out. Know that when you listen, you don't have to learn, you don't have to decide, you don't have to judge, qualify, quantify. All you do is notice that there is a sound. So for me, what usually works the best is finding some sound. You can hear like all the heaters and things kind of working themselves cooler. You can hear the little cracking noises they make from time to time. You can hear the sound of the traffic or your own breath. Just hone in on a sound. Become absorbed in being the clearing where that sound occurs. Invite in life-changing listening. deep, deep breath in. And exhale through your mouth. A deep breath in. And as you exhale, just squeeze your fingers and your toes. It provides an anchor for this space that you're creating. Then hug your knees into your chest.